Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely bizarre, but honestly fascinating corner of the internet. You've almost certainly stumbled across this if you've done, well, any scrolling lately. Picture this. You're just casually swiping through your feed, and boom! Suddenly, this wildly distorted, bass-boosted sound of a cow mooing absolutely blasts through your speakers. And it's perfectly synced up with this hyper-realistic, AI-generated image of that exact same cow breakdancing in a neon-lit barn. I mean, it sounds totally absurd, right? But this animals of the farm internet phenomenon is literally dominating global attention spans right now. So today, we're deconstructing the source material behind this massive trend to figure out exactly how these incredibly weird, seemingly random micro-videos are capturing our collective consciousness. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered why a simple 5-second audio clip of farm animals can rack up hundreds of millions of views? It's a paradox, and it really makes you stop and think. I mean, we live in an era where massive streaming platforms are dropping hundreds of millions of dollars on these visually stunning, hour-long epic dramas, right? They've got top-tier writers, A-list actors, massive visual effects teams, the whole shebang, just to keep us engaged. And yet, competing right alongside those massive Hollywood budgets is a tiny, incredibly compressed audio file of a pig squealing to a techno beat. On the surface, the success of these clips seems completely random, like some weird glitch in our cultural matrix. But as we dig into the mechanics here, we're going to find out it is anything but an accident. We really need to pause for a second and think about the extreme brevity we're talking about here. 5 seconds. Now, in the context of our modern doom-scrolling habits, 5 seconds might feel like an eternity for a platform to hook you. But in reality, it's a terrifyingly minuscule window of time. Our source material points out that our average platform attention span has completely fractured. You know how it is. Users are deciding whether to stay or swipe within the very first fraction of a second. So a 5-second clip isn't just a short video. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a highly compressed, rapid-fire dopamine delivery system. It totally bypasses any need for context or narrative buildup. Honestly, before your brain can even consciously process that you're watching a digital chicken cross a neon road, the clip has already ended and seamlessly started playing all over again. And the sheer scale of power held by these 5-second loops, it is absolutely staggering. We're talking about well over 100 million views for a single variation of this trend. Let's put that into perspective for a minute. A 5-second loop of a digitally manipulated goat has pulled in more views than the average television viewership of the Super Bowl. That is literally more eyeballs than the entire populations of the United Kingdom and Canada combined. No way, right? I really want to highlight this massive scale to prove to you that this trend is absolutely not a fluke. This isn't just one lucky creator going viral by accident. When you see numbers this astronomical, consistently repeated by thousands of different accounts all over the globe, it tells us one thing for sure. There is a highly deliberate, flawlessly executed system at play here. So this is where we need to fundamentally shift our understanding of what we're actually watching. It is so incredibly easy to dismiss this as just a cute sound or, a funny meme of farm animals doing unexpected things. But it's not just a cute sound. It's a golden formula. We have to look past the funny noises and the bright, colorful visuals to see the cold underlying machinery. What looks like a chaotic, organic internet joke is actually a highly calculated, heavily engineered piece of digital architecture, and it's working brilliantly right behind the scenes. This is content creation stripped down to its absolute rawest, most mathematical form. It's not designed for human artistic expression, it's specifically built to feed an algorithm exactly what it craves. So what exactly makes this a golden formula? Well, it's all about a specific combination of elements intentionally designed to trigger the algorithm. Let's dig into why that matters. The algorithm, it doesn't have a sense of humor. It really doesn't care if a digital duck is wearing cool sunglasses. All it cares about are specific data metrics, primarily viewer retention and loop rate. The golden formula works so incredibly well because it's biologically and technologically optimized to keep you watching until the very end. And ideally, it tricks you into watching it a second or third time without you even realizing it. When a video hits a loop completion rate of over 100%, the algorithm flags it as hyper-engaging and instantly blasts it out to millions of more feeds like wildfire. Now, what's really interesting about this side is how we can break down the precise traits that the algorithm absolutely loves to promote. First up, it heavily favors rhythmic, repeating audio loops. Think about the auditory picture here. We're not just talking about random animal noises. It's a heavily manipulated, syncopated beat. You might hear the pitch-shifted squeal of a pig acting as a hi-hat, perfectly layered over the deep, rhythmic thud of a galloping horse. It creates this perfect four-on-the-floor tempo. The algorithm demands this remixed, lighthearted content because that driving rhythm totally bypasses our critical thinking. It taps right into our innate human love for patterns. And because the audio is so seamless, there's no clear beginning or end. You honestly don't even know the video has restarted until you're already halfway through the next loop. But here's the thing. The sound simply cannot achieve these astronomical numbers entirely on its own. There's a vital interplay happening here between those viral audio triggers and some seriously surreal AI-generated visual storytelling. This is where the sheer absurdity of the trend really shines. Imagine taking that perfectly looped, syncopated farm animal beat and pairing it with visuals that are so bizarre your brain is literally forced to stop scrolling just to process them. We are talking about highly detailed, out-of-this-world imagery, like a flock of sheep orbiting Saturn in tiny little astronaut suits. Or maybe a hyper-realistic pig operating a cyberpunk DJ booth. It's wild. The juxtaposition of a simple, repetitive audio track with overwhelmingly complex, absurd visual stimuli creates this cognitive dissonance that completely paralyzes your thumb. So, the crucial point comes down to a tiny, incredibly high-stakes window of time, 3 seconds. Every single component we just talked about, the repeating audio, the funny transitions, the absurd visual storytelling, it all serves one absolute necessity. You have to lock in the viewer's attention within the very first 3 seconds. How do they actually pull this off? Honestly, by assaulting the senses right out of the gate. Creators will use aggressively bright, saturated colors. They'll throw in jarring, sudden movements right on the very first frame to trigger our deep evolutionary motion tracking instincts. If you manage to scramble the viewer's brain just enough with a visually arresting image and a thumping beat in those first 3 seconds, you win the algorithm. If you don't, well, they simply swipe away and the video dies. Okay, let's shift our focus to the practical application for a minute. How does a creator actually manufacture this chaos? Well, it relies almost entirely on AI prompt generation and rapid side-by-side editing. Creators are definitely not spending weeks animating these surreal farm animals by hand. No way. Instead, they're feeding highly specific text prompts into AI image and video generators. A creator might just type in a prompt like, cinematic, 4K resolution, a glowing neon cow wearing sunglasses skateboarding through a futuristic barn, fast-paced motion. And bam, within seconds, the AI spits out a perfectly absurd visual. The creator then just drops that visual right next to the viral audio track on their timeline, making sure every hoof stomp or moo perfectly aligns with the syncopated beat. It is basically a highly efficient, automated assembly line for virality. Let's move to and see how this builds into the big picture. When you pull back, you can clearly see the complete algorithmic blueprint at work. It's this beautifully synchronized process where every single step relies heavily on the others. You start by using rhythmic, remixed audio loops to establish a seamless, hypnotic base, right? Then, step 2, you combine that audio with surreal AI storytelling to provide that necessary visual shock value we just talked about. Finally, step 3, all of this is engineered to lock attention in those critical first 3 seconds. Think about it like a giant puzzle. If step 1 fails and the audio is jarring instead of rhythmic, the viewer leaves. If step 2 fails and the visuals are boring, the audio just isn't enough to save it. But when these 3 steps work in perfect harmony, they create an inescapable gravity well for human attention, leveraging these AI tools to flawlessly manipulate the platform's mechanics. And this brings us to a massive realization for anyone consuming or creating media today. As our source material beautifully summarizes, those who understand this underlying psychology can leverage AI tools to churn out algorithm-friendly shorts effortlessly. But why does this actually matter to us? Well, it signifies a fundamental shift in how entertainment is produced. If creating hyperviral content is no longer about human storytelling or, painstaking artistic effort, but rather this straightforward, almost effortless science of matching AI prompts to audio trends, what does the future of our feeds look like? We are rapidly approaching a reality where the vast majority of our digital environment might be completely automated, just synthesized by machines specifically to keep our eyes glued to the glass. So we've reached the end of this explainer, but I feel like the implications of this golden formula really linger long after you put your phone down. We started out by looking at funny farm animals, but we uncovered a highly sophisticated algorithmic machine designed to hack human psychology. And it forces us to ask a rather uncomfortable question about the media we consume every single day. If artificial intelligence can flawlessly engineer a 5-second loop of a dancing cow to effortlessly capture and hold hundreds of millions of human minds, who is really training who here? Are we training the algorithm to show us what we want? Or is the algorithm training us to endlessly consume what it builds? Make sure to subscribe so you can learn how to create your own viral AI content and let us know what trend should we break down next. I'll see you in the next explainer.